Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Arabic of the Quran series. Today we are going to be doing lesson number 3, ending sounds and combination. Identification of status in Arabic. Till now we have talked about the status in English language, right? Till now we have seen how I, me and my are used in different contexts at different positions. Arabic is somewhat similar, but now we will actually see how to identify a status of the word in Arabic. Okay? First of all, in English, order matters. For example, you can't say taught Ali Sarah. That's a sentence, but it doesn't make sense. It's a jumbled sentence. But you can in Arabic. Actually, in Arabic, you can say taught Ali Sarah. That's how one of the ways you can say that sentence is taught Ali Sarah, literally. Okay? The only thing that matters in Arabic is the sound on the words themselves. For the above example, taught is a fi'l, so we'll not be considering about the sound because we know only isms have the status, right? So we'll not be worrying about the fi'l right now. Ali and Sarah will have some specific sounds on them that will indicate which one is Rafa and which one is Nasr. So basically, if I say taught Ali Sarah, you don't know which is the doer. You can say Sarah is the doer, Sarah is teaching, or Ali is teaching. You don't know who is the doer, right? But in Arabic, if you say a sentence like this, then what will happen is you have to put specific sounds on the words, and those specific sounds will tell you exactly what one is Rafa and what one is the Nasab, which means what one is the doer who is doing the action, and the other one is obviously detail. Okay, so now in the next page we'll actually be seeing some examples and what the sounds mean. What do we mean by sounds? Let's look at it in the next page. Okay, alright, so right now we have 4 sentences. They have the same words. Okay, as you can see, each of the sentences have the same words, but the words are placed in different places, and these places, they change the meaning of the sentence sometimes. Sometimes it changes and sometimes it remains the same, even though they are in a different place, which means order doesn't matter. But first we're going to look at the meanings. Allama, this one, it means he taught. Now who taught? We don't know yet. Muhammadun, it's a name, Muhammad. Ali, it's a name, Ali. So we know Allama means taught. Muhammad is a name, so it can be a doer or a detail, and Ali can be a doer or detail, same, right? Now let's look at the next sentence. Aliyan allama Muhammadun. Ali, Muhammad names, allama, he taught. We don't know who taught. Okay. In the third sentence, it's the same. He taught Ali Muhammad. In the fourth sentence, Muhammad Ali taught. Now, out of all these, perhaps the most sense-making sentence in English will be this one, where you say Muhammad allama Ali. Muhammad allama Ali, which means what? Muhammad taught Ali. Like, that's how it will be in English. But you are actually wrong in Arabic, because like we said in the previous slide, order doesn't matter. It can be anywhere. What matters is the sound, and the sound, we can see that although these things are in the same, in the different orders, the words are same, but the small tiny sounds which mean the pronunciation markings on top of them, like fatha, kasra, dammatain, fathatain, all these, they are alternating. See here, Ali has, what does Ali have? It has a fathatain. Muhammad has a dammatain. Over here, Muhammad has a fathatain and Ali has a dhammatain. So we can see that on the last letter of the word, there are few changes. Like over here, it is having an sound. Right? Dun. It has having an sound. And over here, an sound. Over here, this is having an sound and this is having an sound. So these two sentences are similar. Although different order, these two sentences are similar in terms of sound, and in Arabic, sound matters. Got it? Now here we see that Ali has the sound and Muhammad has the sound. And over here, Muhammad has the sound and Ali has the sound. Okay? Dhammatain, fathatain. Fathatain, dhammatain. Is that clear? Good. Till now you're following me, I hope. Now we'll take this to the next step. We notice that each of these have a different sound, okay? And we know that in Arabic, sound matters for status. Now you will memorize one thing. You'll have to remember one thing. Whenever you hear a dhamma or a dhammatain in Arabic, often ism of course, because we're just focusing on ism right now. So if you notice a dhamma or a dhammatain, or you hear a dhamma or dhammatain, then you should know that that word is rafa. And if you know what rafa means, you know that it means it's a doer. Therefore, in the first sentence, Muhammadun, this has a dun sound, it has an un sound, it is the doer. So, allama, he taught. Who taught? Muhammadun. Muhammad taught. Perfect. Ali, who did he teach? Ali. Now you are learning one more thing. The fatha or the fathatain, the or an. This sound means it is a, what does it mean? Come on, you can guess. Yes, it's a nasab. Even by the sentence you will know that if this is rafa, then someone has to be taught. Who is taught? Ali is taught. That's why, who is Muhammad teaching? Ali. That's why Ali is a nasab. And since the nasab sign is a fatha or a fathatain, Ali over here has a fathatain. Perfect. So in the first sentence we have learned that dhamma or dhammatain, un or u means it's a rafa, and fatha and fathatain means it's a nasab. Great. Now let's translate. Muhammad, why is Muhammad? Because in English we mentioned the doer first. So Muhammad taught Ali. Let's look at the second sentence. Okay, straight off the bat we notice Ali is what? It is having a fatha. Fathatain. It's having a fathatain. And Muhammad is having the dhammatain. Which means what? Yes, Muhammad is the doer and Ali is the done to, or the nasab. So Muhammad is the rafa and Ali is the nasab. So even though Ali is coming first, we will in English translate Muhammad first because the doer is first in English. So Muhammad taught Ali. Great. Now we notice right shift. We notice that over here Ali has a dhammatain and Muhammad has a fathatain on the last letter. This is all on the last letter. Okay, so now what will the translation be? We know that Aliyun is supposed to be rafa, which means it's a doer. So who taught over here? Ali taught. Ali taught whom? Okay, so this is nasab. So Ali taught Muhammad. In the last sentence again, you thought this will be Muhammad taught Ali because that's how it makes sense in English. Muhammad is first, but nope. Muhammad has a nasab. It is nasab because it has a fathatain on top. That's why Muhammad will not be teaching. Ali, which has a dhammatain, that will be teaching Muhammad. So who taught? Ali taught. Whom did Ali teach? Muhammad. So Ali taught Muhammad. Got it? So over here you learn two very basic rules. That if you see a un or u, dhammatain or dhamma, it means it's rafa. And if you see an or a and which means it's a fatha or a fathatain, then it will be nasab. That's two basic differentiation. And by the way, now do you notice the importance of tanween in Arabic? It can literally define the place of an object. Like imagine if I tell this Muhammad taught Ali. Isn't that different from Ali taught Muhammad? That's why in Arabic it's very important to have correct markings on the at the end of the word. It's very important to have correct markings because even a slight change can have a completely different meaning in a sentence. Alright guys, so in the previous slide we already learned two important rules, how to identify rafa and nasab. Now we are going to learn how to identify rafa and nasab, all of them. Like wherever you find them, you should be able to identify them through this chart. If you memorize this chart, and yes, you have to memorize this chart. If you memorize this chart, any word you will be given, you'll be able to see, okay, this one has a tanween, so it must be singular. This one has something else, it must be something else. If you just memorize this chart, you will be able to do all of them. But first, let's just understand what this chart means. Okay. So we see a word Muslimun, okay, Muslimun. Now we see that this word is singular, okay, and it is rafa. We already know that it's rafa. Why? Because it has the un sound at the end. Perfect. Next we go to Musliman, man, which means it's nasab, and we see that it's singular. Now the last part. Remember in the last slide we have learned about Rafa and Nasab. But what about Jar? Many of you might have this question yourself. For Jar we have Kasratain. So Dhammatain for Rafa, Fathatain for Nasab, and Kasratain for Jar. Is that correct? Is that clear? Good. Now we come to the dual form. This is where English and Arabic do not meet. I mean, they don't meet anywhere here, but still, this is where they don't meet even more. In English, we only have singular and plural, but it's not like in Arabic. In Arabic, we have singular, dual, which means two, dual or pair, and then we have plural. Okay, so singular, dual, and plural. Now we learned how Rafa Nasab Jar is determined in the singular one by the fatha, by the tanween or the marking at the end. How is it determined in the dual form? Let's see. So we see Muslima. Okay, Muslim, till here it's clear. And then we see Alif Noon. Alif Noon means it is Rafa. Alif Noon, if you see, it's a combination. This was a sound, right? Un. But this is a combination. It makes it Muslimani. Mani. This is a combination. So if it's a combination which has Alif Noon, then we know that it's Rafa. And we also know that it's dual. Great. Now how do we determine if it's Nasab or Jar? Aini, Muslimaini. Muslimaini will determine if it's Nasab or Jar. And as you can see, Muslimaini and Muslimaini is same, exactly same in Nasab or Jar. Then how do we know it's Nasab or Jar? It depends on the sentence. The sentence will tell you whether that word is in the Nasab form or in the Jar form. But this makes it easier for us because we now know that it's similar. Okay? Now let's go to the plural form. Plural form is easy. We can understand that in English also. More than two. More than two is plurals. Now how is it determined here? Muslimu. Till here it's similar to the singular version. Then it comes una. Muslimuna. Muslimuna. This means that it's Rafa. Muslimina, the ya noon over here. Remember, this ya noon is different from this ya noon. This ya noon has dabar or as you can say fatha before it, but this one has kasra. Got it? So ya noon. This one also ya noon. So we see that in the dual and the plural version, the nasab and jar are same, and only the fatha, only the rafa version differ. Both. This is the pattern. Okay, so now how do I want you to memorize this? I don't want you to go Muslimun, Muslimani, Muslimuna. No, go like this. Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. Muslimani, Muslimaini, Muslimaini. Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. Go like this so that you know which one is Rafa, which one is Nasab, which one is Jar. Then you'll go to the dual, which one is Rafa, which one is Nasab, which one is Jar. Then you'll go to the plural, which one is Rafa, which one is Nasab, which one is Jar. And yes, I want you to memorize all this chart. These 6 words should be embedded in your head, and they should come in like a pattern. It should come in a pattern. It should come in a particular order. Okay? Great. Because you should know what you say first is Rafa, what you say second is Nasab, what you say third is Jar. You should know that. That's why it should come in certain order. Got it? So how do I want you to memorize it again? Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin, Muslimani, Muslimaini, Muslimaini, Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. Just memorize this chart. I'm telling you, things will become much easier. Any word you'll be given, you'll be able to match make and decide whether it's Nasab or Jar, and whether it's Nasab, Rafa or Jar. Okay? Also, the other important part of this chapter, of this chart, is that it will give you whether it's singular, plural, or dual. Remember what I told you about ism in the beginning? It has 4. What are its 4? Status, number, gender, and type. This chart, this one chart that you can see here, it will give you 2 of them. It will give you status, that's obviously seen. It will give you number. How will it give you number? Well, if you see a word, for example, it's Salihani. Salihani. You see it's very clearly that there is a alif and a noon. Hani. Hani. That rhymes with Muslimani. So you very well know that it's a dual. And then you know it's in Rafa form. Therefore, it gives you status and it gives you number. This chart, it will give you, if you see an ism, you should be able to tell its status and number simply by this chart. That's it. Okay? Great. Now, I'll tell you about the third thing that this chart will give you. This chart will give you the gender. Remember status, number, gender, type? This one can also give you gender. How? We'll see in the next slide. So in the previous slide, I made a very bold claim that learning one chart, the 3 by 3 chart, one 3 by 3 chart can give you status, number, gender of something. How? Well, you can look at this chart. Compare this chart with the previous chart and see what's the difference. You will find the difference being ta over here. Over here, the difference is the added ta. Along with the meme, there's an added ta. In the last chart, it was just Muslimun. But over here, it's Muslimatun. You know what Muslimatun means? A female Muslim. You know what Muslimun means? A male Muslim. You know what this gives you? Yes, the gender. So my bold claim has been provided to you. With learning just 2 charts, yes, you have to learn this chart too. With learning just 2 charts, you'll be able to tell everything. Not everything, you still have to learn type. But just learning these 2 charts, you'll be able to tell status, number, and gender. Just that's it. That's it. Easy, right? If you see an ism, you'll tell, okay, it's that status, it's that nasab, it's that gender, it's that number. You know that. Great. Now, how do I want you to memorize this? But first, let us see what it is. So, Muslimatun, okay, on sound, same rule, rafa. Muslimatan, Muslimatan, unsound, it's definitely nasab. Muslimatin, in sound, jar. Okay, this much is clear. I have no confusion. There's the same pattern, just an added ta. Great. Now we come to the dual form or the dual form. Now here we see, if you just compare this with this, what do you see? Okay, it's still an added noon. Doesn't change, right? It's just an added noon. Yes, we see an additional ta, but that's because the singular version has a ta already in it, which means this is just an added noon. Great. Now what about the nasab? Okay, tiny. And the jar? Tiny. Okay, not much different. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And there's only because the singular version has a ta in it. Okay, perfect. Now we come to the plural version. The plural version is different. It's not Muslimatuna, as some of you might have guessed, but it's Muslimatun. Over here, the plural version, this is Dhammatain. Dhammatain means rafa. In the plural version, the only thing that matters is atun. Atun. If you hear matun or hatun, like swalihatun, then what you will think? Okay. It's atun. Atun means it's rafa. Now the common mistake people make in the female chart is that they will not first look for the combination. What is combination? Combination is 2 letters. It's not just a word. It's not just a sign or a symbol, a pronunciation marking on top of it, like Zammatain. Rather, it is letters. It is a bunch of letters, a combination of letters. Like over here, alif nun. Alif nun, we know it means dual automatically. Similarly, over here, alif ta means dual. So at any word you see at the end there is alif ta. There is a very high possibility that that's a plural. Do not look at the words there. Oh, there's a tanween. This must be a sound, which means it's singular. That will be very wrong. First, always, if you're given an ism, first look if there's any way there can be a combination. If there's no combination, then only can you look for sound. First you look for ending combination and then you look for ending sound. Perfect? Clear? Good. Now let's look at the last plural. Muslimatun. Okay, Muslimatun rafa. Muslimatin nasab. Muslimatin jar. Again, how do we know whether it's nasab or jar? It depends on the sentence, or else they look the same. Muslimataini, Muslimataini, Muslimatin, Muslimatin. Again, the same pattern. The dual and the plurals nasab and jar are same. Great. Now how do I want you to memorize this? Simple. Muslimatun, Muslimatan, Muslimatin, Muslimatani, Muslimataini, Muslimataini, Muslimatun, Muslimatin, Muslimatin. And yes, don't make it Muslimatun. This is also Muslimatun. No, it is not Muslimatun. This is Muslimatun. Put extra emphasis on alif because that will tell you whether it's plural or not. Okay? Muslimatun, Muslimatin, Muslimatin. So with that, you finally learned, and no, this is just theory, you have to apply it. Here I'll be giving, actually in the next lesson, in lesson number 4, it will be full practice. You will have to apply whatever knowledge you learned into that lesson. So you better learn these 2 charts perfectly because that lesson will need you to exercise this knowledge. Great. So memorize these two charts and you'll be done. And by the way, have I told you how this makes it feminine? Yes. The ta we see in each thing, actually in the plural we already know it's completely different from the masculine plural. So we already know what makes it feminine. And in the dual and the singular version we see that ta makes it feminine. So with this you know how a male looks and how what a female kind looks. Ism, obviously. So you know what you now know? If you're given an ism, then you should be able to tell whether it's rafa, nasab or jar, meaning its status, whether it's singular, plural or dual, meaning its number, and whether it's male or female, meaning the gender. So have you already done the three? Is this all Arabic is? Like the next lecture will be the type? Nope. There's a lot more to Arabic than this. There's just an easy thing, but Arabic has many exceptions, and there's few things that you need to know that is right now not being told to you. So this is how majority of Arabic words work. I mean, if you see a ta, it is a female. You can think that. If you see a ta marbuta, it is a female. But sometimes it's not. So there's just majority and there are a lot of exception in Arabic. So we'll be looking at number and gender. We'll be looking at them in detail in future lessons, but right now you just memorize these chart, and for most part you'll be able to tell whether it's gender and its number and its status you'll definitely be able to tell. Number and gender, that can be a little bit questionary. Okay. Alright, so in the last slide I made a bold claim that by knowing these two charts you will be able to know all the words, whether they're number, gender or status. Number, gender, status. You'll be able to know all of this from just knowing those two charts. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply those two charts. You have not memorized it yet, but I have memorized it, right? So in these three words I'm going to show you the thought process of how we are arriving at conclusion we are using those charts and coming at the conclusion of the status, number and gender for each of these three words. You will be doing that in the next video. Okay, so let me show you the thought process, what will be happen here. And also I would like to add that before the next video be sure to memorize those two charts because we'll be actually applying them. Great, now let's get started. So the first one is nasihun. The first question is what type of word it is. We know in Arabic there are three types of word: harf, fi'l and ism. Now how do you know if it's an ism or not? Simple. You already know that there is a tanween on top. Tanween, as I told you in the first lesson, a fi'l or harf cannot have tanween, which means this is a ism. Perfect. Now how do we know which type of ism it is? First, which status it is, because we are finding status here, right? First we see whether it has any combination. The combination I know is alif noon, ya noon, or waw noon, or alif ta. I can't see any of these here. Therefore, it's an ending sound. Now, ending sound, I know there is dhamma, there is dhammatain, of course, dhamma, dhammatain, they are the same. Fatha, fathatain, kasra, kasratain. These are the three we know. Now, this definitely has a dhammatain. Since this has a dhammatain, we can very clearly say that this is rafa. Now, this is rafa, right? Which means it rhymes with what? Muslimun. Nasihun, Muslimun. It rhymes with that. Which means that this is also singular. And since it does not rhyme with Muslimatun, we can say that this is male. So this gender is masculine, number is singular, and what? Number is singular, and the status is rafa. Not just this. I will show you another thing. I know the entire table of Muslimun, right? And I know this is fitting the Muslimun because it's fitting the first one, which is Nasihun. So let me make you the entire table. Nasihun, Nasihan, Nasihin, Nasihani, Nasihaini, Nasihaini, Nasihuna, Nasihina, Nasihina. Yep, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do this with every word, by the way. Now let's go to the next one. Mu'minatun. Again, I can very clearly see the first of thing is, oh, there's a ta marbuta and then there is dhamma, which means it's definitely an ism. The ta marbuta clearly indicates that it's a female. So we go directly to the female chart. Now, mu'minatun. What does it rhyme with? Oh, I know, it rhymes with muslimatun. What does that mean? By the way, one more thing, one more trick. Since you see this ta marbuta, you know very clearly that it cannot be from the dual or the plural, because the dual and plural does not have ta marbuta. Which one has ta marbuta? Which is singular. So by this ta marbuta, you can tell it's female, it's feminine gender, and you can tell that it's singular. Now the dhamma tain on top of it will tell you that it's Rafa. Why? Because Muslimatun rhymes with Mu'minatun. Now, can I make the entire chart of Mu'minatun? Yes, I can. Mu'minatun, Mu'minatan, Mu'minatin, Mu'minatani, Mu'minataini, Mu'minataini, Mu'minatun, Mu'minatin, Mu'minatin. You should be able to do this with all words, but don't pressure on yourself. Just focus on Muslimatun and Muslimun chart right now. Then you'll be able to do it all these other words. Great. Now the last word. First off, the marbuta, great. I already know I'm in the female chart and there's definitely an ism, and also that it's singular because of the ta marbuta. Next, we see that this has a kasratain. Which one has kasratain in the Muslim chart? It's muslimatain. So muslimatain has a kasratain, which means that this is jar. Great. Now what am I supposed to do? The entire chart. I will not start from Muslim mudarrisatin, because mudarrisatin is not I'm supposed to start from. I am supposed to start from mudarrisatun, the rafa form. So mudarrisatun, mudarrisatan, mudarrisatin, mudarrisatani, mudarrisataini, mudarrisataini, mudarrisatun, mudarrisatin, mudarrisatin. And there you go, the application of charts which you should be doing we should be fluent with by the next video, because you will be doing this. I will not be doing it, you will be doing it. You will have like 20 words and I will be going through them, and while I'm going through them, I want you to also make sure that your thought process is exactly like mine. Great. So with this, today's lesson is completed. I hope it was enjoyable. I know it was a little more information today, a lot to learn, 2 charts, but you will be able to do it. And any questions, please be sure to comment below. Until the next video, see you.